What up? It's your boy Grey Wolf, and I wanted to speak briefly about the United States, specifically about, everything that's been going on with the laws and everything, the stay-home orders, the quarantining, and everything that each state's government is trying to do to keep us safe. Now, a lot of these places, a lot of these states and cities, they're starting to open up, and we're probably going to start the amount of cases, the amount of deaths is going to start rising. And seeing all these videos and pictures of bars and barbershops, beauty shops, and all these places filled to the brim with people with no masks on and still not staying 6 feet away, and it's like they threw social distancing out the water. All this shit that these MAGA white supremacists were protesting for and about with their AR-15s, trying to look and act all badass, knowing they wouldn't bust a grape if they didn't have their guns on them. Take a long look at all these people that are potentially making their friends and family sick, and their friends and families sick. This is why we had to put these stay-at-home orders and all these, quarantine orders in place. It wasn't to take away people's freedoms, which is what a lot of these idiots are spewing and thinking. It was to save lives. You know why? Because Americans and most humans in general can't be trusted to put society as a whole above their need to above themselves, above capitalism. And I mean, that's point blank. I mean, you see countries that lock down immediately, having low death rates, low COVID-19 positives. You see that because they lock down quickly. You know what I mean? Because they know how humans are. You tell a human, especially an American human, that they can't do something, they automatically want to do it. It doesn't matter if it's going to kill everybody. You know what I mean? Like, Americans can't be trusted, man. I mean, look, if Americans could be trusted to have the best interests of the entire American society at heart, then there wouldn't be a need for these, social distancing, stay-at-home orders. You know what I mean? There wouldn't be a need for that, because people would automatically do it without being told. But obviously, you can't trust Americans and you can't trust us to do that. Because as soon as everything started opening up, people rushed, people flocked to these places, acting like everything was back to normal. And that's the point. Just imagine if we didn't close down the economy, if we didn't close down most of the United States to save American lives. The death rate would probably be triple right now, and not just almost 100,000, which is a lot. And that's sickening and saddening, man. You know, people like, some of these, MAGA cults like to bring up Sweden. Oh, Sweden didn't close down their economy. They don't have as many deaths and positives as the United States. Well, look at the numbers. Look at how many people died in 1 month because they didn't close down the economy. And how many people they could have saved if they would have. They trusted in their people. Now, I will say this about Sweden. Looking at the data that was shared, I forgot which website, the people in Sweden actually self-enforced social distancing, self-enforced not going out as much. And it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But it also could have been a lot less bad if they would have locked non-essentials down from the beginning. And see, I don't think Americans, for the most part, would have did that. I think people in America would have continued to do what they want, continue to, spread this shit around until half of the United States was dead. And that's real. Like, I have almost zero faith that we would have put a self-imposed quarantine on ourselves and a self-imposed social distancing standards and things like that if the government hadn't stepped in and did it for us and enforced it. I am 99.99% sure. I mean, it's crazy that we as a people care more about capitalism, care more about, beauty and doing this and doing that more than our fellow man, and to be honest, more than your own family members. Like, you don't, if you're out doing this shit, you don't really care about your family. You don't really care about your family's family, your family's friends, and their friends and their families. Because if you did, even though everything is opening back up, you'd still stay your asses at home. Like, this is the test, right? Like, let's open everything back up and see if people still do the same bullshit. And you know what? We're failing. We're failing miserably. And right now, all these asymptomatic people that are going around right now because everything is opening back up in Wisconsin and, all these other places. Let's see what happens in June when the 14 days are up and you start seeing people getting really, really sick again. Because y'all want to be idiots. Y'all down in Florida, Texas and all these other places, even some parts of my state in Kansas, people being stupid. Like, I just don't understand it, man. Like, this is the bare minimum thing to do to save a planet, to save your lives. And we couldn't even do that. We went decades, almost 100 years of being able to do whatever the hell we wanted to do. And the moment that the government, basically asked us to stay home for a few months, we couldn't even do that to save people. We haven't had to do something like this in almost 100 years. And all they asked us to do is to stay home for 3 or 4 months so we can find a vaccine and a cure and cut this thing off at its legs. It's a travesty, man. It really is. Pisses me off. A lot of people died that didn't have to die. A lot. Worldwide and in the United States. The fact of the matter is that we as humans are hard-headed. You tell us not to do something, even if it's for our own good. Just have to fight. And that's dumb. Really dumb. But I did just read an article that even with all the bars and everything up in Kansas City starting to reopen, they're complaining that a lot of people aren't coming, that they don't have as many people coming in as they thought they would. And that makes me a little happy because, maybe there's hope for us yet. But I do have a message for my people, specifically my black people. Stay your black asses at home as much as possible. That barber's gonna be there when this thing is over. Beauticians, spas, all this stuff that you think is important, that's not really important, will be there. And if they're not there, then they're alive. You saved them. They can rebuild. But you can't rebuild a body and bring it back to life. And y'all know good and well that the system, especially the healthcare system, was not created with the best interests at heart for black folks, especially black women. We need to start understanding that let these stupid white supremacists go out there and get themselves and their families killed. We got enough shit that we gotta deal with in this racist ass country. Stay your asses at home.